Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here from Custom Offsets TV on the YouTube. You guys have been begging me to do a review on the Vertex Coilover System from Rough Country, so we stole Jerry's truck because he's in Punta Cana. We're gonna go drive it around and kind of get you an idea of what these things feel like. So right now, we're driving on the Vertex Coilover System. This is a 2015 Chevy Silverado 1500, I believe. I might have the year wrong, but I'm fairly confident that's what it is. Anyway, we got them set on basically the lowest setting. It's set on 1. So these are adjustable dampening, so you can basically just adjust how responsive you want these coilovers in the rear shocks to be. So they're on the softest setting possible right now. So we're gonna kind of drive this around, give you my impressions of what they feel like. I took it for a very, very short ride, like 2 minutes ago, just to make sure that everything was working properly. And then we grabbed Max and hopped in here, and right off the bat, I was really impressed, especially like driving through these roads in town. These are in fairly good condition here. This is a relatively new road, but it rides super smooth, and you'll be able to see some shakes in the camera. We purposely didn't put a stabilizer on because we want you to be able to kind of tell how shaky it is. Obviously, there's gonna be some shake. That's just what you get when you drive a truck or any vehicle, really. But I would say compared to factory, these coilovers definitely ride better than a factory truck does. In fact, on the soft setting here, even when you hit bigger bumps, there's not really any jarring or anything like that. It eats it up really well, where it just kind of sinks in. There's a really, really terrible road that we're gonna end up hitting that I'll show you, where I'll purposely drive it into potholes. Sorry, Jerry. You probably, if you watch this, I'm just apologizing right now. But we're gonna drive it into some potholes so that you can see exactly how that feels. Be able to tell by the camera shake. You can kind of see how I move in the driver's seat and whatnot as far as bouncing up and down goes. So now that we've kind of driven on the city streets and you can just see that it's relatively smooth, we're gonna take this up to the highway and show you that. So the section of highway that we're going to is probably the worst section of highway in the entire state, at least anywhere around here, because they redid it not too long ago, but it seems like every cut in the concrete, because they make these frost lines up here when stuff freezes, it expands, and then it just ruins our roads. But they've got all these cuts, and they're all different slabs. So you hit it, and when you drive over it, it just feels like you're in a dump truck, and you're doing one of these and bouncing all over, and you can't really even hold a conversation because it shakes so bad. So we're gonna drive up there and see how the coilovers can eat that up on the soft setting. And then once we're through with that, I'm gonna come back, we're gonna adjust these and turn them up as high as possible so you can see the difference there. Basically, the reason why you'd be adjusting these, I think if I was driving in town, you're gonna leave it on the softest setting anyway. The only negative things that come out of this are under heavy braking. There's a lot of nosedive, but that's kind of to be expected, I guess, if you have soft suspension and the weight of a truck. You know, when you hit your brakes, it dives forward a little bit. Not really anything that you need to be concerned about or too worried about. Just know that that's part of it if you're buying these coilovers. And then the increased body roll. So anytime you're lifting a truck and you're raising up that center of gravity, you're going to have more body roll. And then when you have a really, really soft coilover or soft shock like this, it's definitely noticeable that if you're turning the wheel back and forth, you do have quite a bit of a dip when you're making those turns. Again, it's not anything that you need to be overly concerned about, just something to be aware of. If you're shopping for these, you put them on or have a garage install them for you, then you get in and you're like, whoa, I feel like I'm on a boat. Under normal driving, you don't have anything like that, but if you're weaving in and out of traffic and driving like an asshole, you're going to see that you're going to have some increased body roll. And then, like I said too, once we get these things turned up to a soft or a stiffer setting, we'll see kind of what happens to that body roll. So we're almost on the highway now. We're just going to make this turn here, and we'll hop up there and see how this goes. Watch out, Grandpa, coming through. So just merging onto the highway then, you'll be able to tell because the camera's gonna be shaking more than it was before. But like I said, this is probably one of the worst sections of highway where we have all these cuts in the concrete and they're all different slabs. So it creates a pretty bumpy driving situation. But once you're on the highway and we're just cruising along at 65 miles an hour, you don't hear the shake in my voice that you hear in other videos. It's relatively smooth. Even just like holding my hand out here, sure, it bounces up and down a bit, but it's not like doing one of these things as compared to, you know, previous trucks that we've driven, especially on like non-coilover setups. So I'm relatively impressed by the highway driving. It will definitely be interesting to see how bad it gets when we crank these things up and make them significantly stiffer. So coming through a roundabout, if you bring it through with speed, you'll definitely notice how much body roll that there is. But now this section of road, this is really bad. Like even in a car, this is absolutely terrible to drive on. There's some huge bumps and huge potholes. And I think you'll be able to see a couple of them as far as camera movement, but just driving down the road just like we are now, I mean, it's all beat up, it's all tore up, and it's not very bad. There's some bigger holes, like that one, that you'll probably be able to tell, but I'm gonna purposely try to drive it into this one big pothole up here. Should be coming up. Get a shot of it, and I'll put the tire right in it, and you can kind of get an idea of what that feels like. Here's one small one, not bad. Here's the big one, not terrible. Biggest one yet. So it really eats it up pretty good. And these are 35s on 22s, so there's not a ton of sidewall there. I'd say it's pretty average as far as like what most people are buying. Usually like 20 by 12s and 33s, or 22s and 35s gonna have roughly the same amount of sidewall. So we're on our way back to the shop now. We're gonna get this thing pulled in. I'm gonna adjust it. We'll kind of explain a little bit about the coilovers themselves, and then we'll take this thing back out. So the back ones are a little harder to get to, but just as easy to adjust. Don't touch the exhaust when you're down here. I just did that. It was very hot. There we go. Let's go drive. All right, so now we got these things cranked up. They're as firm as they can be. And I guess one thing to note too before we get too far into it is what you're adjusting is basically dampening, so like compression and rebound, not the actual height, because coilovers are also height adjustable, but for that you need a spanner wrench, and it's a little more involved process. But as far as adjusting the ride quality and the firmness of your suspension, it's super easy. You just turn 4 knobs and you're set to go. So right away noticing on the road right in front of the shop here, it's definitely a little bouncier. So it's kind of to be expected, but I'm really just looking forward to seeing how it handles on the highway. So now we're on this smooth stretch of road that we were on before. Like I said, we're taking the exact same route, so we have an equal comparison, and just you should be able to tell based on how much the camera bounces and how much it shakes, the ride quality difference. It seems like in town up to about 40 miles per hour, it rides relatively similar. The only difference is when you do hit those bigger bumps, they shake the truck a little more. You can hear some stuff rattling around. It's more of that jarring shake where it's like a quick thud, versus when it was soft and you just kind of float over it and float through it. But on the small stuff and just the regular cracks in the road, it doesn't seem to ride bad at all for being the firmest setting. So we'll kind of finish this part up. There's one big bump coming up here that we'll hit, kind of see the difference, and then we'll go up to the highway. So that's this one right here. Not terrible, not terrible. Taking it fast through a roundabout, definitely less body roll. You're just, all that weight of the truck basically going to one corner. It doesn't compress that coil so much. Oh my God, holy shit, oh Jesus, holy cow. All right, this is the on-ramp. This is the moment of truth. See how this is. Now, I'm not expecting it to be very good, because you wouldn't, oh my gosh, you wouldn't have it this firm on the highway anyway. Oh yeah, there's the bounce. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the good thing is that means that it works, that it's not just a gimmick, so you can actually adjust it and it is actually doing something. It's not just a marketing scheme. So if you wanted to crank these things up to actually do some off-roading with, this would be a good option. If you still want some performance and be able to basically do some high-speed stuff off-road, these things should hold up just fine and give you good control. But yeah, definitely significantly bouncier on the highway than when we had it at level 1. So we'll kind of hop off here. I'm sure you can tell by now that the camera's shaking violently. We'll make this turn, head back to that really rough road. Oh my gosh. And I'll throw it into some potholes again. I mean, I don't think I really even need to at this point. I think we've proven that the adjustability works. I don't know if adjustability is a real word, but I'm gonna use it. So, and then we'll head back to the shop and call it a day after that. Body roll is improved, but it's not eliminated. And I don't think you're gonna ever get rid of that in a lifted truck. That's just, you know, the price you pay to drive a lifted truck. It's definitely more firm though, but you know, you're not taking this thing around the track. You're not setting the land speed record. You're just trying to look good in parking lots. Maybe occasionally take this thing off-road, ride nice through town because you can adjust it down to the soft settings. It'd be all set. All right, this is the rough road. This is where the potholes are. This is where we're gonna see a good test of these coils. All right, here's 1, 2, and the big one. Yeah, I think you can definitely tell that this is a much more firm ride. Now, if this was my truck, I'd take this up north, I'd bring it on the logging roads, and we'd go try to do some wheeling with this thing or some high speed runs. But since it's Jerry's truck, I don't know if he'll let me do that. But I'll put a comment and we'll pin it on YouTube. And if you guys get, let's say, what, 100 thumbs up, maybe 150 thumbs up on the pinned comment, if I should take this thing off-road, and then maybe Jerry will let me. I'll probably break something though, so that's the downfall. But if we want a good test, I don't see any other way to do it. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what it's like to drive a truck with the Rough Country Vertex Coilover System. And then as far as the questions that we've been getting, I'm just gonna answer them very bluntly. So is the Vertex Coilover System better than BDS? And the answer is yes, the Vertex Coilover System is better than a standard BDS kit. However, the Vertex Coilover System is not better than a BDS coilover system. So they're very close, they're doing really good. I am thoroughly impressed, especially for the price you pay from this kit from Rough Country with the front coilovers and the shocks in the back. So overall, like I said, very impressive, super cool to see that they are basically going away from being the cheap, you know, rough riding brand that they were, migrating over to something that's a little more high-end, something a little more worth the price tag that you see. So if you're interested in picking these up, or if you want to see if they make them for your truck, just go ahead and hit the links in the description below, or head over to our website. It's customoffsets.com/lifts, and that'll bring you to everything, and you can narrow it down to the Vertex Coilover System. If any questions on these or any other lift kits, drop them in the comments below. Make sure to like the video and hit the subscribe button. Peace.